Hello, that was not a good start, ladies and gentlemen. My microphone was on mute there, but hello, this is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason, and back tonight, the new father, the new dad for the second time of a second baby boy, another little Buckeye born misplaced in the Tar Heel state. Has arrived.
Palmetto State.
Oh, that's right. You're in South Carolina.
Actually, he was born in North Carolina, so
Okay.
I don't know how that
All
works,
right.
but lives in South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, he is here, and Rage, the man, the myth, the legend, is back. Glad I'm not having to do this solo. Certainly a whole lot different doing the show solo. So thank you guys for watching, tuning in, and if you would hit that like and subscribe. I told you last episode, there are hundreds of you that have watched the show in the last couple of weeks who have not subscribed. If a fraction of you would hit that subscribe button, we could hit that 1,000. We could hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So help us hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and we appreciate all your support. Hopefully we'll get the chat going again tonight, with going full speed, and appreciate all of you who are here. We've got a great episode. The Texas preview is here. Lot to talk about. I don't know. Jay may have something quick he wants to add about the Oregon since he missed that. He may not. I don't know, but we'll turn it over to him. What you got going, Jay?
I mean, strictly speaking, Oregon, what complaints were there to be had? It was just, actually, I have one complaint. I have a complaint that Ohio State didn't blitz enough and let Oregon come back into the game some because they let Dylan Gabriel scramble around too much. It's like once they got Oregon into for sure passing situations every play, I would have been bringing 5 on that guy, especially on 3rd and long to stop him from running around so much. But Ohio State kind of did like the next best thing and put a spy on him. But it was an absolutely great performance, man. Not much else to be said. Ryan Day actually got a legitimate top 5 win, essentially on the road. So there's his second one, I guess, because he had Clemson in 2020 and now he has that one. So Round of applause, Ryan Day. This is exactly why we get so mad, because we see what the team is capable of. So yeah, we're not going to back off of you, man. There's still 2 games left to go. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, Jay, we kind of, I know that we can debate Franklin's road to the Final Four, but we kind of got to give Penn State as a legit top 5 now as well. They're right here in the Final Four, could be in the national championship game.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. They beat Boise State and they beat SMU. So
if they beat Notre Dame, you got to give them top 5.
If they beat Notre Dame, I will give them top 5. If they beat Notre Dame, yes.
All right. Good.
But man, oh man, Michael, just there's been so much going on. Yes, I'm not a new dad. I've already been a dad, but dad to another little boy now. So yeah, that's been not as, it has been an adjustment, but it's been okay here. I find something interesting, Michael, off topic. I got on our little X account earlier and I noticed you have a lot of political follows on there. But who came up as a suggestion for our account?
Who?
Gavin Newsom.
Well, probably because I'm following Joe Biden. I followed the president just to follow the president. As soon as he goes out of office, I'll unfollow him. But that's probably why. That'd be my guess.
I think I'd rather stick my 22 down my throat and pull the trigger before I fucking follow Gavin Newsom. Screw him, man. What are we doing here? Oh God, I just can't stand the narcissism and the ickiness of that sadistic, sad SOB. Michael, man, we have a big game this week. The biggest game. Is this bigger than 2023 Michigan? The Michigan game from last year.
Yes, because this is entry into the national championship, and that was just entry into the Big Ten championship.
Yeah. And we, even last year going into that game, I don't think either of us realized that Michigan was this good. Like we knew they were good, but we didn't know they were going to win the national championship.
No, I was not. I was not a believer at that time. I thought that they were a good team, and I thought that we just, sucked as usual in that game. So,
Mm.
but they proved both of us wrong. I mean, they were totally legit.
I picked Oregon to beat Ohio State. I didn't trust Ryan Day to have two good performances in a row. I was wrong, but I will say this, because I picked and I was expecting Oregon to win. I am much more anxious coming into this game than the Oregon game. Oregon, I was resigned to our death.
Hey, Jay.
And yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but don't mind me. I'm going to turn this light on right here. Somehow in my preparation, I didn't turn this light on right here. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
But chat, I was resigned to Ohio State's death. And this game, I'm so curious about if Ohio State can just keep up this high level of play. What Ohio State has done against Tennessee and Oregon has just been absolutely spectacular. There are really no other words to be said there. Michael, have you seen the hype video for this game that just came out for the Cotton Bowl that Ohio State, media team released? I think it actually got released a couple hours ago.
No, I'm not a big hype video guy. But
I'm not either. I'm not either. But I just don't. Most of them suck. But I got to be honest, man. The last couple have been very good and very well done. So round of applause to them. Just makes you want to run through a brick wall, honestly. It's very, very well done, very professional. It feels like an Avengers trailer, honestly. It literally makes you feel the same way as the Avengers Infinity War trailer, that kind of hype thing. Maybe not quite that. Well, I don't know. Yeah, okay. It was big time. Well,
I'm going to have to check it out then.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to it. But
and before we get going into the episode here, remember, everybody, give us a follow on Twitter or on X. If you're on X, we just kind of started that X account. There's going to be stuff put out on it more and more. So even though you guys are watching the show and you're not going to be watching the little clips put on X, if you would follow it so that we can get out there and maybe get more followers, and maybe some people that are not watching the show will get to see those clips.
Post the link in the chat, Michael. Can you post our Twitter X link into the chat? I know Project Hang'em had something really cool possibly for us. So that was interesting. Yeah, if he could tag us, that would be great. I don't know if Project Hang'em was the person who told us before that they posted something from our Michigan video that had like 5,000 views or something like that.
It was 15,000, Jay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was him or somebody else.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Whoever that person is, if you're still listening, that would be cool if you could tag us now, because we do have a link. You can go and follow us, we'll follow you. But Michael, before we get into the Texas game about what Ohio State, I guess we are getting into Texas, but can we speak about a little bit about the Arizona State Texas game? Did you watch that game?
Watched the whole game in Manning Sports Bar in New Orleans. Even heard a bomb go off while we were watching it.
Wait, you actually heard a bomb go off?
Yeah, I was about to think that we'd made a big mistake by hanging out in New Orleans. I was thinking that we should have gotten out like about 15, 20,000 other, people going to the game did. But thankfully, it was just the bomb squad safely detonating one of the devices that the guy had left around Bourbon Street and the French Quarter there. So they were finding those devices. And they were detonating some of the one. I don't know how they chose which ones to detonate, which ones not. But yeah, they detonated it. It was done safely in a place.
What is done safely? Like,
well, I don't know. That's what the news report said, because people were freaking out, and so everybody was Googling it, and one of the local news reports, FBI. It was either FBI or the local bomb squad, I'm not sure, but said bomb squad was detonating some of the devices and not to worry. So
Yeah, and a city as big as New Orleans, they're gonna have a local. They're gonna have a local bomb squad.
Yeah.
That's scary, man. That's really fucking scary. I don't know what else to say other than I'm glad you're alive.
Hmm.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Glad you're alive. But back to that game. I do feel like Arizona State got screwed by the non-targeting call. But at the same time, if Arizona State kicks field goals instead of going for it so often, they probably win that game. They went for it 3 times, didn't get
Yep.
it any of the times. Just kicking 2 field goals there would have been enough to win. Now,
Yep.
granted, Texas missed 2 field goals at the end of the game, but I mean, Arizona State would have been leading at that point. Texas would have been forced to not kick field goals. I think they would have had to have scored a touchdown. Also at that game, Arizona State, man, looking at their depth chart, very small team, but they're feisty. They were my upset pick last round to beat Texas. Didn't work out. You have to be able to stop a 4th and 13 in overtime, man. Can't let that happen. You can't let it go over your head like that. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that Arizona State game. It gave me a lot of good info on Texas, but I will say this. If people want the best scouting report on Texas, it's not watching the Arizona State game, because there was one key player who did not play against Arizona State, and that's Cam Williams, or their starting, I believe, right tackle, because Kelvin Panks is their left tackle. He did not play against Arizona State. So if you want the best look at Texas and what they are, watch their home game against Georgia. Georgia is the team closest to Ohio State that Texas played this year. And Texas is the closest team Ohio State has played this year. Or Georgia is the closest team that Texas has played this year. That's closest to Ohio State, should I say. And I would say watch that game again. I was also peeking into that one. Okay. You're posting the link.
I just put the
what are you doing?
I put the X link in the chat. Here's our new page, guys. So we've got a massive amount of followers at this point, 13. So get us off of unlucky number 13. get us to 14 at least. Good grief.
What the fuck is this get verified thing? What is that?
I don't know. We'll do it. Whatever it takes. We'll do it at some point.
Yeah. Anywho, I know Elon Musk has saved Twitter and X, but it looks like oh man, who's the guy at Facebook?
Zuckerberg.
What's his name? Zuckerberg with Facebook, man.
Yeah, he's getting
Good
the
for
memo.
him.
Yeah, thank goodness that some things are changing. Like, just when you lose hope in society, it's like there is some. So yeah.
Well, let's be real. None of this would have happened if Trump weren't elected.
Well, of course not. No.
Yeah, that's a scary thing. That's why this election was so big, man. Freedom of speech was really on the line. Michael, this game is in Dallas. It is going to be a home game for Texas. Texas already plays a game every year, not at the Dallas Cowboys, but they do play the old Cotton Bowl against the Oklahoma Sooners in the Red River Shootout every year. Yes, it is the Red River Shootout. So I don't really like that at all, Michael. It does suck. I'm like, why can't they just flip-flop these? Why can't they have us go to Miami and play Texas, and then Penn State and Notre Dame play in, Dallas? It's going to be 70% Texas in there, man. It is.
Yeah, it's another again, we said on the beginning of this ride that this was the ultimate gauntlet for Ryan Day, and it gets even just a little more challenging as Texas plays a quasi home game. Yeah,
man, it really sucks. It really sucks to play a team as talented as Texas, in their own backyard. Georgia was able to do it this year, so if Georgia can do it, I believe Ohio State can do it too. Texas has not been an underdog since week 2 of 2023, Michael, when they went into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and beat the Crimson Tide decisively. Do you remember that game? That was like Quinn Ewers' kind of coming out party, but if you go back and look real close, his passes weren't all that great.
Right.
But that leads the question of, what Texas are we going to get? They've looked really good this season in spots against an overrated SEC. But
Mhm.
they did trounce Michigan before Michigan became a juggernaut at the end of the season. I
Mhm.
will say, I want to preface this by saying Michigan was literally 5 times the team they were at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, the game plan that Ryan Day had is still unexcusable, but it's a complete fact that the Michigan team that Ohio State played in the horseshoe is not the same team that Texas played.
oh yeah, absolutely. Don't even. That's why I say don't look at that game with Texas. You need to go back and look at their home game against Georgia because they're at home. They're going to be at home on Friday. They're playing an extremely talented Georgia team. Georgia personnel defensively is closest to Ohio State.
Mhm.
But Texas hasn't played um, an offense like Ohio State's. Not even close in the regular
No,
season. Not even close. Ohio
not
State is, that's a bonus for Ohio State. We've played defenses that are really good.
not the new Ohio State offense. They haven't. Not the offense we've seen the
Right.
last couple of weeks. They haven't. Yeah.
And then one other thing that needs to be pointed out in this game, Michael, is Texas has played out of the 4 teams left in the Final Four. They have played the most amount of games this season of the 4 because they got the short end of the stick of being put in the SEC championship game, losing, and then not having that too much time off and then hosting a home playoff game. So, my question, Michael, is Texas a tired team? Like they also had 97 snaps on defense against Arizona State. So they've played an extra game than Ohio State and just came off a barn burner against the Sun Devils.
Yeah. That's a good point. I haven't thought about that. They certainly do have an extra game under their belt from anybody else. Yeah, I was just about to Google it and check. I forgot to Google it before we got on, but I believe one of their best offensive linemen, I think, is out for the year. I know he's been out the last several
No,
games.
no, no. I was going to say they have 2-star offensive tackles, Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks. They are both dinged up, but both are expected to play
They're
in
both
this game
expected to play.
as
Okay.
well as Isaiah Bond. So they're dinged, they're
Mhm.
tired, but they're
Mhm.
not. They're all going to play. Every single player that can play will play in this game.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that corrects that. During the last episode, I had mentioned that they had a couple of their good offensive linemen that had some injury issues and may be out, but sounds like
Yeah,
they're
Cam
not.
Williams didn't play against Arizona State. That's why
Mhm.
I'm hesitant to look at the Arizona State game.
Mhm.
It's not full on 100% Texas. 100% Texas was against Georgia. They had everyone playing against a team of similar talent to Ohio State. Like I said, you want the best look at Texas. Look at their home game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Arizona State caused them some problems and stuff, but there are things that Arizona State, and I'll get to this later, but there's things on offense that Arizona State does that Ohio State just is not capable of doing, which is weird considering how explosive we've been, but I'll talk about that later. Michael, there are a lot of storylines with this game. Will Howard, I feel like, he doesn't like Texas. He's never beaten them. Can you hear me?
One of my headphones is not working. That's why I was doing that. I'm only hearing you out of one side, but it's fine. I don't know what's going on. We'll deal with it.
Weird, man. Weird.
Yeah.
You need to get like these Apple. These things are pretty sturdy.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to use my old gaming like headphones back in the day. Remember that at the beginning of this podcast? I was like, you know what? They're a little too cumbersome. Fuck that. I'm not going to use them anymore. Michael, a lot of storylines. Will Howard has played against Texas. Ohio State has played Texas, I think, only 3 times in the past. We have not played Texas since the Fiesta Bowl, the 2009 Fiesta Bowl from the 2008-2009 season when Quan Cosby caught that slant over the middle on Anderson Russell and raced to the end zone, essentially winning the game. I think Ohio State was left with maybe 20 seconds left in the game. Didn't have enough time to do anything. Todd Beckman played valiantly in that game. I don't know. I don't think Sark and Ryan Day have any kind of relationship. But do you know who does have a relationship, Michael?
Who?
Quinn Ewers in Ohio State.
Oh, yes. He absolutely does. And the media is really playing that storyline up. I don't blame them. I mean, it's a big storyline, but yeah. And he came out, I saw recently, and said that he was actually still good friends with a couple of guys on the team. That him and Jack Sawyer were close, and they were roommates, and really kind of bonded that year or whatever. And I guess have stayed in touch. So.
Well, that's weird, everyone. I don't know what happened right there. Hopefully his computer is okay. Yeah, man. I just want to talk about Quinn Ewers a little bit while I am waiting on Michael to come back. It looks like something must have happened with his computer. I don't know. Anywho, I want to talk about Quinn Ewers a little bit. Quinn Ewers, in my opinion, is a bitch. Quinn Ewers is a soft bitch, and he is everything that is wrong with college football. I was hoping, and we talked about this because we've already talked about Texas one time this season. We spoke about them in the Michigan preview against Texas back in week 2 because, we're a Big Ten podcast. We're a Big Ten podcast first. Or no, we're a Big Ten podcast second, Ohio State podcast first. So with that being said, Quinn Ewers spent time at Ohio State for a year. I don't really know the exact details of what happened with him, but he is everything that is wrong with college football. He's soft, and he will quit, in my opinion, if you hit him hard enough. He talks like a bitch, acts like a soft bitch, used Ohio State for one season just to collect NIL money, and then just disappeared. He just disappeared, left the team for selfish reasons, collected his NIL paycheck at Ohio State, and then left. And then before all of that, he reclassified to the class of 2021, which was also a bitch move. It really put Ohio State into a bind with their quarterback situation. Again, Ryan Day's a bitch. He's still a bitch. He's got to still prove me otherwise. There are 2 games left. I'm not backing down on my criticism of Ryan Day. He had one top 5 win, but it's like, fuck, man. It's like, you have a lot to make up for. I think he's now 2-7 against the top 5. I don't fucking know. Michael's reaching out to me now. So his computer was actually unplugged in the back, and his computer was unplugged in the back and it went dead. So that's what's going on there. But yeah, Quinn Ewers is a bitch. I hope Ohio State ends his career. He's already made a lot of money. I think he's my least favorite college player probably ever. I really, really hate Quinn Ewers. Really, really hate that motherfucker. I hate him more than I hate Ryan Day, and that's saying something. I fucking hate Quinn Ewers. Hate that guy. The kids' gloves that the Ohio State media is using with him right now is just disgusting. Just disgusting, man. Like fuck this guy. This guy used Ohio State, and they're trying to talk nice to him. And what do they get out of this? What the fuck do these people get out of sucking Quinn Ewers' dick? He used the team and then left. What in the fuck? Could you be any more pussies? If I saw Quinn Ewers in the street, I would call him a fucking bitch. And yeah, I would call him a bitch. You think I'm afraid of him? I am not. I am not afraid of Quinn Ewers. I'd smack the shit out of him. Continuing on, though, I'm going to continue on a little bit here because, obviously, I think it's pretty clear that I fucking hate Quinn Ewers. I hope Ohio State breaks him in 2. Losing to these, I dislike Texas a lot, but I hate Quinn Ewers, so that kind of makes me hate Texas. So I'll leave it at that. Michael says he'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Chat, I'm going to read off some comments here. Before I get into the Texas thing. So shoot me over some things. Let me see here. Yeah, Project Hang'em. Thank you for that. Slip and Skippy, let's be glad we're not depressed covering a loss. Well, Michael did the Oregon recap a few days ago. I wasn't on that show, just like he's not here. I wasn't there for that one. But this is the preview show. Like, I think that you don't get it twisted. There could be a lot of depression coming in the next couple days. We're only 2 days away. We're less than 2 days away from this game. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Shane Cupp, good to see you, man. Trump warned about this on the Joe Rogan experience. Yes, he did. I didn't really like that Donald Trump interview with Joe Rogan. Donald Trump he's not a very good debater, and he's just not a very, I don't know. It just feels like he has to do all the talking. He doesn't let conversations flow. But you know what? I don't care about any of that. The only thing I care about is, can he fucking govern a country? And he can. He can as good as the last great president we had, Ronald Reagan. So that's all I care about. His vernacular kind of sucks, but whatever. Zuckerberg knows he's lost and hated, so trying to switch sides. Be interesting if Matthew Golden can put up 150 yards again. Yes, we will get to the Texas personnel in a little bit. Matthew Golden is a beast. He's really good. But do we really believe he's as good as Tez Johnson, who we essentially shut down? We seem to struggle more with Trayshawn Holden, who's a bigger receiver. He's 6'3", can gallop out there. Matthew Golden's more of a speedster, quick in space, beat people. I don't know if he's the type of receiver Ohio State really, really, really struggles with. And at the end of the season, again, that's why the Big Ten being good helps in this game, because we've seen receivers like Matthew Golden already with the Oregon Ducks. Not Indiana, but we've seen Evan Stewart. We've seen Tez Johnson. Penn State, yeah, we haven't seen anybody there. I'm trying to think of some other good receivers who played earlier in the year. Can't think of them, but it was valuable to play Oregon twice. Why the dislike for the Longhorns? Well, they did beat us twice. We're 1-2 against them. They ruined the 2005 season, which I firmly believe the Ohio State Buckeyes were the best team. Well, maybe the best team in the country. I was so looking forward to, Ohio State versus USC in 2005, but we got fucking Texas versus them, and they beat us in 2009 and all of that stuff. Project Hingham, am I covering Notre Dame and Penn State tonight? We are going to make mention of it. I'm going to make a pick on that, when Michael comes back. So it looks like he's trying to come back now. Michael, I told you to check the cord in the back, man.
Well, the power strip was off. Everything was in. The power strip was off. There's all these little things that can go wrong. Give us till year 3. This is only year 2. Give us till year 3. Give us till year 3, and we'll have it all figured out. The power strip was off, even though my computer was plugged in. So, just one of those little things.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. Anywho, Michael, I was just ranting on Quinn Ewers' bitch ass, and I feel like it made a lot of people laugh a lot. And again, I really dislike Texas. I guess I dislike them more because they're in the SEC now, but I was really ranting on Quinn Ewers. What are your thoughts on Quinn Ewers?
I think Quinn Ewers is solid, and I think that's about it. That's what I think about Quinn Ewers. I think he's way overrated. I think he's a good quarterback, a good college quarterback. Maybe he'll make an okay pro one day. I don't know, but he's kind of good, and that's about it. You look at him and Will Howard. Will Howard's outperformed him this year. You could say he's got a little better weapons or whatever. Maybe he does, I think, have a little better, but he's outperformed him. More yards, more touchdowns, less games.
You don't feel offended at all that he just laid his balls on the table and dick slapped whipped out his dick and slapped Ohio State Nation in the face backwards and forwards and then just left town? Basically just did what he wanted.
You're saying, how do I feel about him as far as that goes?
Everything.
Oh, I'll put it this way. I really don't want to lose to him. That's for sure. I don't want to lose to Texas ever. but certainly not when their quarterback was a guy that kind of snubbed the Buckeyes, came and got, a bag of money and took off.
Quinn Ewers just seems like a beta cuck, honestly. Like, he's got some talent. He just seems like a beta cuck bitch.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it when we really start looking at this Texas team. But Jay, to me, this Texas team is very talented. They are very close to being as talented as Ohio State or anybody in the country, obviously. But there's something that's just kind of missing from this Texas team. And I just hope to God that's kind of been missing all year stays missing this Friday, because if they play the way they've played pretty much all year, and the Buckeyes can play close to the way they played the last couple of weeks, I feel extremely good about this. It's like the Texas team kind of reminds me of some of the Ryan Day teams besides these last two games. Like the Ryan Day teams besides these last two games, like really good, really talented, but something's just kind of missing. And so, we'll get into exactly what they got personnel and all that, but that's kind of my overall thoughts about this Texas team. And I've seen them play a bunch this year. I've watched Texas play more than probably almost any other team in the SEC. I've seen them play about 4 full games.
Really? Why the interest?
Well,
Are you a closet Texas fan, Michael?
No, I watched them play Michigan the whole game. I watched them play Georgia twice the whole game. And then I watched him play Arizona State. So that's 4 full games I've watched him.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen him about equal. I'm just fucking with you, man. I was just fucking with you. Anywho, Texas on offense, man. Let's just get into it. Let's get into their offense. Again, they're a spread team, 10, 11, 12. They don't run anything out of power. They're very much spread, a lot of misdirection, a lot of RPO, although which is weird because Quinn Ewers can't fucking run, but it's a lot of delayed, fake reactions, throw the quick slant type thing, do everything they can to make up for the lack of arm strength by Quinn Ewers. They're on the season. They actually are balanced. They are 502 pass attempts on the season and 557 rush attempts. So they have established balance there. They put up some points. They've also been shut down in some games. You never know what you're really going to get. I can tell you that with Georgia's front four essentially just completely dominated them. I'm not sure that Ohio State can do quite the same defensively, but our offense is so much better than Georgia's. But let's start at the top. I know we've already talked about him a little bit, and I've already talked about the drama there, but let's talk about the player. Quinn Ewers, yes, he's a bitch. Elite arm accuracy. I would say anything under 30 yards, Quinn Ewers is an elite passer. After that, he struggles. Texas's entire offense is to get the ball out quick, timing routes. Quinn Ewers is not a stiff. I don't know why people keep saying that he can't run. He absolutely can run. Him and Will Howard, in my opinion, are pretty even when it comes to running ability. I would say Quinn Ewers might actually be a little bit more balanced. Will Howard runs 2 yards and falls the fuck down. Quinn Ewers, give him credit in that regard. He's at least a little bit more balanced in his running, but don't be mistaken. He is not Nico Iamaleava, and he is not Dylan Gabriel when it comes to being a runner. He's not close to them. Those two were much better. They were much more talented quarterbacks, in my opinion. Just everything involved. Ohio State in the playoffs has already faced 2 quarterbacks that are better than Quinn Ewers. Michael, anything else to add about Quinn Ewers?
No, but I do want to hit a couple of these comments real quick, and one of them is directed directly at you, Jay, so you can handle that one. But
okay,
we've got we've got Carlos here, Fulton, Michigan fan, says Ohio State winning the Natty will slap lipstick on the pig. Ryan Day is a problem for you guys. Carlos, I would have agreed with you 100% 2 weeks ago. I might agree with you after this week. I don't know. But all I can say is if he's able to run this gauntlet of Tennessee, we know who it is. I don't have to name all the things again. If he's able to run that table, I don't think he's a problem anymore. I think he's figured out what we've been wanting him to figure out. And how will it end for him if he wins this? Obviously, none of that know, but it doesn't matter. If Ryan Day runs this gauntlet, I'm a Ryan Day fan. Is he my favorite coach ever? No, but I'll still be a Ryan Day fan. So I don't know that he's a problem. He has been a problem, but we'll see. Matt A, I'm still not a Day believer. Sorry. Don't be sorry. No reason to be sorry. I mean, he's given us a lot of reason not to be a believer. So all we can do is hope.
Mention of that Ryan Day still has a lot to do. He has a lot to make up for. One top 5 win is not enough to abolish the sins of his past. He's lost too many top 5 games and too many Michigan games to say, oh, everything's okay. You beat a top 5 team in Oregon. No, you need about 3 or 4 more, in my opinion, to completely rid all of that.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, you win this, and you'll pretty much rid that in my mind. But like, you lose this game against
Texas.
Texas.
Much nicer than me. You're so much nicer than me, Michael.
You lose this game against Texas, and you didn't. Not everything is atoned for. As excited about the UT win as I was, as great as the Oregon win is, I was. You've shown this is the best roster in the country. Now go keep doing it. That's his job. That's his job right now, and that's what he's got to do. For me to really be a believer. Here's the one directly to you, Jay.
Okay.
Lovell Cannon, Rage. Who do you think will cover JJ Smith this game?
Conventional wisdom would say Jahdae Barron, because he was the Thorpe Award winner and all of that stuff. But again, I wouldn't. You just can't put one guy on like Jeremiah Smith the entire game. Texas, if they're in zone, it's just a matter of where Jeremiah Smith is on the field. They're not going to have this guy go follow JJ Smith everywhere on the field. Then you kind of give away what you're doing. Personally, like if I were if I were a defensive coordinator against Jeremiah Smith, what I'm doing is I'm taking my second corner, who is the boundary corner, Malik Muhammad. I'm putting him on JJ Smith, and then I'm having a safety shelling over top. And then what I'm also doing on the other end is I'm putting that Thorpe Award winner in man coverage against probably Emeka, and just saying, do your best, shut him down. Put your best corner on the second best wide receiver and don't give him any help.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Texas, I mean, can you let JJ Smith beat you? I mean, don't you have to make Emeka and Carnell Tate beat you? And maybe G. Scott out of the tight end position?
Emeka can beat them. That's the thing. He can. Yeah. He can beat them.
He can. He sure can.
Oh, yeah. And now Carnell is a question mark. They just don't throw him the ball enough.
But, I mean, you would think that you're not going to do a whole lot of one-on-one with JJ. I would not. With Jeremiah, I would not think. I mean, they may surprise me, but after what he's done to the last 2 teams, it seems like that would have to be a priority, that if we're going to get burned, they're going to make it be from somebody else.
Easier said than done. When you have a 6'3", 4'4" running, just absolute Julio Jones, Terrell Owens baby thoroughbred running around out there. I mean, like this guy is just the best receiver I've seen. I don't know. When's the last good? I mean, what is the last best receiver we've seen before him in college football? I'm really trying to think here.
He's the best I've ever seen, and that's not a small statement. And I don't slap accolades.
I don't either
on Buckeye players like lightly, like stuff like that. I'm kind of one of those. I'd be more likely to slap that on a guy from another team than I would a Buckeye guy. I'm probably a little harder on the Buckeyes, but he's the best wide receiver I've ever seen in college. He should have had 13, 14, 1,500 yards during the regular season. But he's doing what he does now. But I didn't mention it last episode, but that catch against Oregon, like, that's unstoppable. I mean, they had him double covered. And Will Howard, I got to give him credit. I think he did it on purpose. Maybe he got lucky. But Will Howard just recognized, I'm going to throw it up there where nobody else can catch it and see what happens, because I'm under pressure right now. You know, the pressure was coming. He turned, he saw the double coverage, he saw JJ, and he tossed it up. And somehow, why am I calling him JJ? Jeremiah. Somehow he made that catch. And so, I mean, yeah, you're right. Those are the kind of things that, like, you can't plan for, you can't scheme for. He just does things that most guys can't.
Are you talking about the deep throw when Ohio State was backed up into their end zone?
No, I'm talking about the one that was about midfield or so. And
when he threw back across his body and he came back, that wasn't double coverage. I'm pretty sure that was single coverage.
No, there was the one over by the sideline. There was a corner, and there was this, I believe, a safety that had kind of come up right in front of that corner, and he just threw it up, and Smith goes up and catches it fully extended and gets 1 foot in bounds. And it was not a play that, you would think he was going to be, targeted, because there was guys there was a couple of guys all around him. So I'll pull it up if I can before the end of the episode.
Speaking of which, before the end of the episode, somebody, I forget who it was in here, was asking if Project Hangam was asking if we're going to cover Notre Dame and Penn State. We'll do picks on that, and we'll, I guess, explain why. But we're not going to cover it. We're not going to cover it. Now, if Ohio State loses and Penn State wins, then yeah, we'll cover the national championship game and cheer on Penn State against Texas. At running back, Texas has 2 good backs. I wouldn't say either one of them are as good as Travion. Actually, I wouldn't say either one is close to Travion. I would say they're both in that. I would say they're both maybe a slightly above Quinshon. Like Jaden Blue and Quintravian Wisner are both solid players. Neither put true fear into me, especially not after the Arizona State game. Like Jaden Blue is the more explosive of the two. He can break big runs. He's the one who had the 75-yarder against Clemson to basically put the game away. But Clemson's run defense is just god awful. And at the it just again, I'm not trying to do the transitive property here, but thinking about Clemson, hanging around with Texas, and then SMU just getting blown off the field by Penn State. And SMU kind of outplayed Clemson, especially at the end of the game. So I don't know, just makes you think a little bit, just leaving it at that. Wide receiver, Michael, their wide receiver group, in my opinion, was much better last season because they had Xavier Worthy and, the one AD Mitchell on their team. They don't have anyone as talented as them, but I will say this: Matthew Golden is he's a real dude. He is a absolute beast. They're not a very big wide receiver core, but they are fast. I don't think they have one guy over 6 feet. Golden and Isaiah Bond, small and fast. These guys are not Oregon level explosiveness, though. I'm telling you right now, they're not. In my opinion, Ohio State secondary, jam and muck it up with them. Don't let them get comfortable, man. We have the speed to run with them, and we're bigger than them on the back end. Put Davis and Igbinosun up against Matthew Golden and fuck his world up, man. Just fuck him up. Make him not want to run a route the rest of his life. Fuck that little dude up. Fuck him up. Hurt him. Do whatever it takes. Knock him out of the fucking game. Pull his face mask off. I don't give a fuck if you get a penalty, but show him that Ohio's here and fuck that little bitch up like the bitch he is. He's small. He's fast. He's good. But you know what? He's not physical. I don't think he's all that physical. Put fucking Davison Igbinosun on him and just fuck his world up, man. Denzel Burke's too much of a bitch to do that, but Denzel has been playing better lately. Any thoughts else on their wide receiver core, Michael?
No, they're good, but I have some comfort in that it's not like the Oregon game last week where it was okay, they didn't do very well the first time. Clearly, that's an understatement for Burke. 7 for 7 for 180 yards or something on the targets on him the first time. So clearly we didn't do great with them the first time. So going into that game, it's we haven't seen anything like this since then. I feel a bit better because we just saw something like this, and we saw something that, as you just said it, in my opinion, is a bit better. I think Oregon's a little stronger at the receiving. They're certainly not. Texas certainly isn't better than Oregon, I don't think. And so this is something that we've seen, something that we should be able to handle. And I watched Georgia's defense live a week after I watched Ohio State's defense live. And I'm telling you, Ohio State's defense was playing in 20-degree weather when I watched them. And I'm not saying this as a homer. I think everybody knows who's watched this, podcast at all, that we are not homers, but just non-biased, observing the two things. Ohio State's defense was more physical. They were flying around more, and they were just more to deal with than what I watched on the Georgia on the field that day that Georgia had. Not that Georgia's defense isn't good and talented, but the way that our defense played that Tennessee game versus what I saw the Georgia game, our defense is just a little better. And Texas struggled big time with that Georgia defense both games. So I fully anticipate our defense keeping this, under 25 points.
I think I agree with you, man. I mean, Texas is talented, but no, I think I agree with you. Their offensive line, though, I don't know what's going on there, man. Texas's offensive line is big and talented. They have 2 first-round offensive tackles, Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks. Both, I think Kelvin Banks is projected to go in the top 5. But I don't know what's going on there. I can tell you for certain that, just watching the film last night, because I was watching literally the entire Arizona State game, even though I said, that's not the best representation, but I also watched Georgia against Texas too. So that's not the only game I watched. But DJ Campbell is a real problem for them, man. They benched him against Arizona State, but then brought him back in later in the game because their backup was doing so bad. Like they had a really, really hard time running the ball against Arizona State, and Arizona State is just small. But Arizona State's feisty. They're not as physical as Ohio State because, maybe mentally they are, but they're not like as big as us. Like we're bigger and faster than them. So just food for thought there. But yeah, man, their offensive line is extremely talented, and they put it together. I mean, they could give us some real problems there. I know our defensive line is playing like their hair is on fire, and they've gone Super Saiyan 3, like right off the bat, like immediately, like Goku's just standing there like chilling, but he goes Super Saiyan 3 immediately. It's kind of like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's, I don't know. Not much else to say there.
Yep.
Their tight end, Gunnar Helm, second leading receiver on the team. He's a weapon, man. He's a weapon. But, one thing he's really good. He's fast. And one thing they're really good is they're good at like sneaking him out on like those long play actions. Like he'll like come like on one side of the field and come all the way across and then basically do like a fly route and like a delayed route. And they're really good at like sneaking them out. So like, again, Ohio State's played a lot of like cover 2 shell, and like Caleb Downs has been roaming the middle of the field. That's where Caleb Downs comes in and makes sure he doesn't, get lost. I mean, that's really simple.
What about this thing they're doing with Downs where, he's almost playing like a deep middle linebacker. Like they've got him, like they had him a lot.
No, that's what I just mentioned, man. They've like completely changed up their defense.
Yeah.
They completely changed up their offense too in these couple weeks. I guess we'll, talk a little bit about Ohio State. But one thing they did that the Pro Football Focus show, I guess, mentioned is, I guess Tony Loughlin has a very good relationship with Mike Norvell because they coached together, I believe, at Memphis.
Okay.
And they're running Mike Norvell's offense more now. A lot more counter, a lot more like play action, they're running Mike Norvell's offense versus Chip Kelly's offense these last 2 weeks. Harder to defend, and with our personnel, it's a much better offense to run with, the personnel we have. So I haven't studied Mike Norvell's offense like that. I just heard it. I love it. I love what we're doing on offense right now, as long as we're not getting conservative like we kind of did against Oregon in the second half. Just keep the pedal to the metal. Keep throwing past the sticks. Don't throw like routes not to the fucking first down line, like ever, especially on third down. Never, ever, never, ever. But yeah, that goes with their that's it with their offense, man. Any final thoughts on their offense, their personnel, what they do, how they do it?
No, but I do have a comment here about Ohio State's offense that Slip and Skippy he's got a feeling that Travion is going to break out this game. Hopefully so. Hopefully so.
Travion's kind of broke the last 2 games, so that wouldn't really be much of a surprise.
Well, yeah, he's done really well. So, but hopefully he continues to break out. I mean, that's the thing. If they continue, as we're kind of transitioning to the Texas offense, just to talk on the Ohio State offense for a brief moment, or you know, there's so many weapons, Jay, and that's what Herb Street and a part of the Ohio State fan base wanted to bash the criticizers. They wanted to bash those that were not happy with this and say, oh, well, look at his record, this, that, and the other, while missing the point. And then Herb Street and some of these others want to kind of bump their chest like, oh yeah, you idiot fans. No. You're not getting off with that. That's terrible logic. That's terrible reasoning. We were right. These last couple of games proved all of us that were unhappy right, because this is what this team is capable of. Now, I know you're not going to see that every single game in a 12-game season. It's not going to click on that level, but we never saw it click at the level that it should have been clicking at. And they have proved that it was there, and that we very much had good reason for being frustrated with how this team was performing.
Absolutely. Herb Street is mentally ill, man. I mean, seriously. I think he's mentally ill. He seems like he's very much like ego-driven. He has his fucking dog. I mean, again, people that have like those emotional support animals have some serious problems. Have some serious fucking problems. This is a guy who cried on national TV about Black Lives Matter too. He likes to take cheap shots at Ohio State. Now, I will say he is still an Ohio State fan. He may not like our fan base and the way we, handle ourselves, but you know what? We don't tell you how to handle yourself, you little jackass.
Yeah, and he was out there this week, putting out this stuff about, SEC bias. What SEC bias? There's no SEC bias. We're thrilled at this Final Four. Look at it. It couldn't be better. It's amazing. It's amazing how the tides have turned. That, what's great is that the SEC is underperforming thus far. There's still one team in there, okay? So I'm not counting the SEC out yet. But the SEC has, by and large, very much underperformed, and ESPN has been forced to address some of these issues, so much so that Herb Street's going on shows saying, there's no SEC bias. There clearly is an SEC bias. There has been, and now they're caught, pretty much with their pants down, with no other choice but to say that there is no SEC bias.
The SEC pays the bills, man. That's really just the fact of the matter. I don't really take it personally. I think a lot of people take it too personally. Again, this is the Big Ten's fault too. Win. Just win. Beat them. Beat the SEC. It's all you got to do. It's simple. You want to shut them up, beat them.
And that's what
they've done it this year. But again, we have a lot of years to make up for it. Now, again, the SEC still has a team left.
Yes, they do.
By the letter of the law, they do, Texas. So, again, let's not talk too much about this because the job isn't done. You still have to go out there and win. And if Ohio State doesn't do it, Penn State's got to do it. I mean, that's really all that's left to be said there. Penn State's got to fucking do it. Michael, we need to move on to the Texas defense here. On defense, Texas, from what I've seen, they run a 4-2-5. I know somebody was trying to say something along the lines of they run like a 2-4-5 or something like this, trying to be. I'm like, no, you run a 4-2-5, man. That you have two guys on the line of scrimmage like that. I don't care if they're standing up or not. Fuck you. You run a 4-2-5. They are not an overly aggressive defense, but they are more aggressive than Tennessee and Oregon. So Will Howard's going to have to get the ball out quicker. I said it earlier in the show, Texas on defense, they're ranked really high. But, I feel a little better knowing that the SEC is really overrated. The Big Ten has shut down a lot of their offenses in this postseason, and scored on their defenses. Texas has not seen an offense with near the skill and length that Ohio State is about to throw at them. And Ohio State has played similar defenses to Texas. We have, one thing that needs to be noted here, Michael, is their defense has been kind of diced up in these playoffs. And a big reason, and this is what I was going to say before, where Ohio State really is not capable of doing this. A big reason why their defense has been diced up is because of the quarterbacks they've been playing against. They've played against two very good running, scrambling type guys who can buy time and make plays happen that aren't there. Now, here's the problem. Will Howard can't do that. He is not that guy. Will Howard runs 2 to 3 yards and falls the fuck down. I thought that read option he had against Oregon, where he kept it and ran to the right and then slid, he lost a yard there. He started the slide a yard behind the line of scrimmage. And it was like, why did you keep the fucking ball, man? Like, just hand it off. Like, you're not a threat to run at all. Yeah, he's more mobile than McCord, but he's not that much more mobile than McCord. And we really didn't get a real running quarter. Now, Sam Levitt is one of the best scramblers. Like, him and Cam Ward are probably 1 and 2 in the country. So again, it's really, really hard to deal with those types of quarterbacks. And that's a big reason why
Jay Riley Leonard's right up there too for Notre Dame. He's a heck of a runner at quarterback.
Yeah, he's a very good runner. Is he a good scrambler though? Is he a type of guy who can drop back and just buy time in the pocket? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat so. I mean, he's more of a guy that, he can get going north and south and really create some damage.
Yeah,
and he's a terrible passer.
He's a better running version of Will Howard. Yeah, Will Howard actually throws better than Riley Leonard. That's for sure.
Much better. Yeah.
Anywho, but yeah, man. So again, that's Ohio State's not going to be able to do that against Texas. So yeah, Texas has been diced in these playoffs, but they were by quarterbacks that, can stress their defense when, option A and B and maybe C are not there. Well, Howard cannot do that. So option A and B need to get open for Ohio State. So they're going to have to, still beat Texas the conventional way. Yeah, man. So I guess let's start with their defensive line, Michael. Did you know that Colin Simmons was named the freshman of the year over Jeremiah Smith, their defensive end?
I did know that. Yeah, kind of a joke.
Hopefully looking back on it now, after these 2 playoff games, it was a joke, but I think they vote after the regular season. So I guess it's not so much of a joke. I think if it were voted now, I think Jeremiah would win easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would sure hope so. For me, I just thought that, if you looked at the two, it was clear which one was the bigger impact, but, the writers thought otherwise.
I don't know, man. There is definitely a bias, I feel like, when it comes to awards for Ohio State players. Judd Barron, the Thorpe Award winner from Texas, I don't think he's better than Caleb Downs didn't put up the stats this season that I would have hoped. So maybe that has something to do with it. But the guy from Texas is not a better DB than Caleb Downs. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Incidentally, Jay, if we would have used him more like we have as of late, I think he would have put up much better stats. I mean, early in the season, we were keeping him back off the ball. I don't really know what he was doing. I don't really know.
No, they weren't using him well at all. It's like, dude, you got to fucking put your best defensive players up there and put them as active in the situation as humanly possible. You want your best players to be around the ball as much as possible, not have them back there as some kind of fucking, just deep safety valve or something. It was kind of like the Tennessee Titans right here when they got Randy Moss back in 2008, 2009 to replace Kenny Britt. And they didn't use him. They just kind of used him as a decoy the entire season. I'm like, why in the fuck would you get him if you're not going to throw him the ball? But again, the Titans have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. They fired their general manager. So things might be looking up there. Amy Adams is still a terrible owner. The Cincinnati Bengals, Michael, missed the playoffs, but you didn't really deserve to be there losing so many games either. So no. Yeah. Let's get back to Colin Simmons, man. From what I've seen on tape with this guy, He's good, but I swear that dude looks like a kid out there with how skinny he is. He is very quick. He's very explosive, not taking that away. I can see how he's accumulated a lot of sacks. But if James Pierce wasn't a problem, then I don't think this guy is going to be all that much of a problem. Ohio State has struggled with some pressure on the interior this season, but they haven't struggled on the edge. Like Abdul Carter got 1 sack in the Penn State game. I don't think he did much else other than that. James Pierce, I'd never heard his name called for Tennessee. Anything else to add on the defensive line, Michael? Anything you've seen from Texas before I move on to the linebackers?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a big, talented, twitchy offensive defensive line.
They got some big. I will add one more thing. They are big on the defensive line, and everyone wants to talk about Texas size. But you know who actually has a bigger and better defensive line than them?
Who?
Oregon. Oregon's defensive line is better than them.
Yeah, you think so?
Because across the board, like Oregon has like 3 guys that are going to play in the NFL. Texas has maybe 2.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's still good, but I mean,
Sure.
Oregon's defensive line is much better, much better. That defensive tackle, I forget his name off the top of my head. He made 1 play against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. He's the one who caused the fumble for Quinshon Judkins in the first game. Absolute monster of a player, but Texas, they don't have the defensive line Oregon does, let alone Michigan, who, Michigan has the best defense in the country. I still stand by that. At linebacker, Anthony Hill is a dude, but I'm not sure about the other guy. Hill is, probably the best linebacker, I would say, between both teams. But Cody Simon's coming on, man. Cody Simon's coming on. Hill is long, lean, fast, aggressive, 6'2". If I were to get, in my opinion, I would say him and Andrew Makuba, the safety transfer from Clemson, they're Texas's 2 best defenders on the team. Not Colin Simmons. It's those 2. So you have to be aware of them.
Yeah. Rage, what would it take? This is from Jim Van Zoest. What would it take for Rage to change his mind about Coach Day?
He has to win the national championship this year. I did say before, I think I might have been content with making the national championship, but looking at the field right now, and if Ohio State were to somehow win this game against Texas in their backyard, look at Penn State and Notre Dame, man. I mean, this is off topic, but Michael, let's be real. Let's be really real here. The national championship game is being played on Friday, in my opinion.
Yeah, they played, in my opinion, the best team in the field other than themselves in Pasadena. They're playing the next best team in the field Friday. And then the team, whoever they play in the national championship, will not be as good as either of those 2. Watch Notre Dame live. Obviously, we've all watched Penn State, so yeah.
I have a rapid couple questions, Michael. Let's do a quick comparison between Oregon and Texas. Quarterback position, who do you got, Oregon or Texas? Dylan Gabriel versus Quinn Ewers.
I'm going to take Oregon.
I'm going to take Dylan Gabriel too. Running back position, who do you got, Texas or Oregon?
I mean, it's about a toss-up, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, Texas Winsner, whatever his name is, Weisner. Yeah, he's pretty good. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. That's kind of a toss-up.
I'm taking Oregon. Jordan James is better than both of those backs, in my opinion. Jordan James is a beast. He's played in some big games and done well. I'm taking Oregon there. Wide receiver, who are you taking? Texas?
I am definitely taking Oregon on wide receiver.
Me too. Tight end, in my opinion, I think are the exact same. Oregon's tight end is good. Texas tight end is good. They're basically the same player. Texas just throws their guy the ball more. Offensive line.
Well, if they're healthy, I'm going to give Texas an edge, but I don't know if they're healthy. But
yeah, I would probably give Texas an edge too. Again, it's an edge. It's not by a lot. Defensive line, Oregon or Texas?
Uh, well, um, yeah, I guess I'll give Oregon a very slight edge on that. I'll agree with you on that. They run a little different front than Texas, but yeah, I'll go with Oregon.
I'm going with Oregon too, man. I don't think it's all that close on the defensive line either. Oregon's bigger on the defensive line. Everyone wants to talk about Texas's defensive line, but Oregon's defensive line is bigger and better. Jordan Birch, Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon was 6'5", 310. Jamari Caldwell was the biggest defensive tackle between both teams. This motherfucker was, I think he was 340 pounds. I'm trying to look at his height right now. He is 6'1", 340 pounds. Again, like out of freaking South Carolina, Newberry, South Carolina. Again, give Oregon credit, man. They're going to the places in the South where like those big black defensive linemen are, man. Jamari Caldwell, Jordan Birch, both South Carolina kids. Like that's where you go to get those guys. Oregon had them, but they weren't a problem for us. They were not a problem for Ohio State. Linebacker. Oh, Mateo Uyunglele. Mateo Uyunglele is on the other side. 5-star right there. Again, Oregon, Texas might have been depth-wise better along the defensive line than Oregon, but I don't know. Linebacker.
I'm going to give Texas an edge.
Yeah, I'll give Texas because of Hill.
I don't think the other backer is really that good for Texas, to be honest with you. I would actually take. I know we're not doing the
right.
I would probably take Ohio State's pair over those two, even though because Styles has really come on, and even though Simon is not as good, I think that Styles is better. Than the other backer there for Texas. So
no, I'm talking about Oregon versus Texas.
Yeah. I know. But I'll take Texas, I think.
Okay, I think so too. Secondary. This one's the closest in my opinion. Whose secondary do you like better, Oregon's or Texas?
I don't know that much about Texas's secondary. That's one
okay,
area.
Well, let's get into it because I still have the secondary to go. So
last year they were a little weak. Last year they had some issues, but that's one area that
Washington lit them the fuck up in that Final Four game, did they not? They lit them the fuck up. Secondary. So, like I said before, Andrew Makuba, the former Clemson Tigers, is their best player back there. Ball hawk. He's 6 foot. He's not super long, but he is rangy. He seems to have a knack for the football. Jahdae Brown won the Thorpe Award. Good player, but, Makuba makes a bigger impact. Michael, we have a slow white guy alert.
Where? Who? Where? Where's he at?
We have him for Texas.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, so it's so weird. Texas has these big, long black athletes. But then they have this fucking guy who's like a fish out of water. And I'm like, what is he doing out here for? Like, why? Turns out he's a walk-on. Michael Taff, number 16. I'm sorry, number 16, not number 18. Number 18 is that other linebacker I'm not overly impressed with. Just weird that these SEC defenses have these former white walk-ons at safety with like the talent at their availability in the Southeast. Like Tennessee had one, Georgia has one. They are weaknesses. And this guy, he can be had. He can be had by Ohio State. They kind of use him as like, an up closer to the line, like type safety. He's like their, I guess he's their Caleb Downs. They use him like Caleb Downs in a way, based on the film. So with all that being said, who do you take? Oregon's secondary or Texas's secondary?
I don't know. You go first. That's a hard one.
I would say they're as even as even can get. Now, Texas has better high-end guys, but Oregon doesn't go as low as Michael Taff. So that's where I'm saying they're even.
Okay. I'll go with that.
I'm saying they're about as even. So with all of that being said, Oregon actually has like the better team.
Overall. Yeah, they are a better team. I mean, Texas is a talented team, but they have showed all year that they kind of are what they are. There doesn't seem to be this untapped ceiling like we worried about with a Georgia team. Now that ended up being an unfounded worry. Carson Beck goes out, and I don't know that they would have been that much better against Notre Dame with Carson Beck, to be honest with you. Notre Dame was they were getting after it. They were getting pressure on, and the guy was, he threw for like 240 yards or something, 20 for 31. Maybe Beck's a little better, but we worried about some teams like Georgia with the ceiling that they might have. I don't have that worry with Texas. I think they are what they are. It's just a matter of, is Ohio State going to go out and play their game or something close to their game?
Yeah, no, for sure. I see in the chat people are asking where Salty Balls is. I don't know where Salty Balls is, man. I don't know. Again, hopefully he has his notifications turned on, just like all of you hopefully have. So when we do go live or release new content, you are able to see it, right, Michael?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Was he here the other night? I don't know if he's here the other night or not. He might have been missing.
I don't know, man. You did that show by yourself.
Yeah, I can't remember if he was in there or not. What else?
Yeah, let's look at the chats a little bit here. It looks like Jason wants Texas to win. Quinn Ewers 7 touchdowns. What, man? Come on. So these Michigan fans in here, man, like we openly cheered for you last year for the respect to come back to the Big Ten, and it helps Ohio State. Michigan, like it or not, Ohio State winning is good for you.
Let me tell you, Michigan. Let me tell you, Jason. 1, 2, 3, 4. If Ohio State wins a national championship, gag on it as you may, it will light a fire in Michigan. It will light a fire in their administration. It will light the competition. That would be what an incredible thing for the greatest rivalry in the history of college football to go back-to-back national titles.
Michael, don't. Okay, if you say Penn State's winning, but don't jinx Ohio State, man. Please don't do that. That's like a black cat or walking under a ladder or any kind of superstition, man.
You're right.
Don't fucking find it a goddamn leprechaun's like gold coins or
you're
whatever.
Right.
I think
Forget
that's
that.
bad luck.
Forget that.
I don't know.
Forget it.
Yeah, don't talk like that, man. We're not all about that on this show.
You know what I did in New Orleans? I was going to the blackjack table, and I'm not a big gambler. Like, I don't gamble a lot. I can't stand the thought of losing money. Like, I hate that more than the chance of winning, but I will like just small stuff a little bit here and there. And so I'm super conservative with it. And I've gone to gamble at casino maybe 8 or 9 times. I've never lost money playing blackjack. I'm walking to the blackjack table and I tell my buddy, I've never lost money, playing blackjack. I lost all $400 that I laid down. Now, not a tremendous amount of money because I'm not willing to lose a whole lot of money. And 250 of that was money that I'd already won. So it was house money, but I lost $400 sitting there. So I am acquainted with the idea of not jinxing yourself. So I take all that back.
Never said it. I never heard anything, and neither did the chat.
No,
dude. Do the prostitutes walk around in the casinos in New Orleans like they do in Vegas, or is that just Vegas?
Yeah, that was Vegas. I didn't have any prostitutes approach me in New Orleans. No.
Okay, man. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know. I know New Orleans, they say, is a really weird, like grungy, dirty-ish town. I don't know. They say it's almost like lawless down there. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
New Orleans sucks except for the French Quarter. The French Quarter is so cool. I like it. I think it's a neat place, but I don't love New Orleans as a whole.
You do not want to go to New Orleans, Dr. Detroit. I actually do want to go to New Orleans. Actually, I had a old coworker of mine who's become like a buddy of mine. He's like begging me to always come down to New Orleans and like party and stuff. And I was like, dude, I have like a wife and kids now. I can't be fucking doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not a big partier either. So like that environment doesn't bother me. I don't really get tempted to get sucked into Bourbon Street or anything like that. Like I was bored on Bourbon Street, ready to go home at about 12:30. That's why I didn't get ran over by a car.
At least man. Thank God you're out of there. Fucking hell.
Increased my odds not to be ran over by a car. But Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird place. I'll give it that for sure.
Yeah, I've heard such things. I've heard that's like that whole black magic stuff, like witches.
You feel something in the atmosphere that's kind of yeah.
I don't know. I've just heard some
Mhm.
fucking weird stuff.
Yep.
Michael, I feel like we're getting close to prediction time, my friend. But before we
Let's do it.
what are your thoughts on Penn State Notre Dame? Do you have any thoughts about like who do you favor in that game? Who do you think's going to win and why?
Gosh, this is I was sitting next to a Notre Dame fan, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He's actually from Texas. He's from Austin, Texas, and he was like, "I hope you guys beat Texas ass. I hate Texas." But he's a Notre Dame fan, and he asked me. He said, "Who do you think's going to win between us and Penn State?" When the game kind of became clear they're winning. I said, "My goodness," I said, "I honestly don't know. Like, it's going to be a heck of a game." Notre Dame has a little better defense, I think, after watching them. Penn State has a better offense. So, I mean, I don't know how you predict this. It's like to me, it's like a coin flip.
You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. And, it's crazy. I think the coaching's pretty much the same. I know people just like to rag on James Franklin, but I don't recall James Franklin ever having only 10 men on the field back-to-back plays in like the biggest sequence of a football game in your biggest home game in like 10 years, like Marcus Freeman did last year, So
yeah.
I don't know. I would say the coaching is even too. So if you had to pick, gun to your head, Penn State or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Oh, why?
Well, gun to my head, I kind of think Penn State's going to be able to out offense them, but
Yeah.
Gun to my head, Notre Dame was pretty impressive in all phases of the game when I watched them. Other than their offense just isn't good, but they're able to manufacture enough. I don't know. Let me change that. Penn State 23, Notre Dame 19.
I wasn't going to ask for a score prediction, man. I don't know that I can actually give a score prediction on this game. I respect it. I do think Penn State's going to win, man. I just think that Notre Dame, all they like to do is run the ball. And I don't think Drew Aller is going to give the football away the way Georgia did. I think Penn State's going to be locked in on special teams. They're not going to give up a cheap fucking kickoff return. I just give Penn State the edge here. I think Penn State's going to travel more for this game too. I think they're going to have more fans in there. They're dying for success more so than Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame's been to they went to the BCS championship in 2012. They've been to the college football playoffs. Penn State hasn't been there, and they haven't been there. I mean, when's the last time Penn State was in a BCS game? I know they played in the Orange Bowl in 2005. No, I'm sorry. They played in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, but again, these BCS games just aren't the same. Players are sitting out and all of that stuff. This is their biggest game since probably the 2009 Rose Bowl against USC, I would say, for Penn State. It's been a long time, and that wasn't for a national championship.
Didn't they play USC? Didn't they play USC again in 2016 in a super high scoring?
Yeah, but it wasn't. They didn't win the Big Ten that year. And it was high scoring. And again, that wasn't in the college football playoff.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I feel like the 2009, I feel like the 2009 game was bigger for. I think this is the biggest game they've had since 2009, in my opinion, if I were to guess.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the other thing I want to add, Jay, before we get our Ohio State prediction.
Yes.
Georgia, as much as I love seeing the SEC be eliminated, everything that could have gone wrong for Georgia in that game. I mean, maybe not everything, but there was a lot of things that went wrong for Georgia in that game that I think are unlikely to go wrong in the next game. And so
I do think Georgia was better than Notre Dame. I was
too.
like, Georgia had the worst offensive game play calling I've ever fucking seen in that game. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you not want to win? I thought they were they were more talented than Notre Dame. It's just like Georgia was playing the entire game with their arm time behind their back. It just didn't make any fucking sense.
They fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
And they also got hurt. I think they got held to a field goal because the ball boy or somebody ran into the referee, and they got a sideline penalty, a 15-yard penalty, which I've never seen that called before, where there's a sideline interference and they give it a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, that player, the player ran in front and like ran into the ref. That's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, I find that ironic though. Kirby Smart wants to say players are idiots and this, that, and the other when he has like guys that are going 100 miles an hour driving all over Athens, and he doesn't say shit about any of that. Like, dude, like something like that, you could actually kill somebody doing that stuff, but yet he complains about his players on the field. Like, dude, I understand you're running a program and the biggest thing is to win, but at the same time, I would hope you wouldn't want your players to like kill people. So for you to not call out them is just bitch ass fucking weak shit behavior by Kirby Smart.
The amount of speeding tickets that the Georgia players have gotten is like unreal. It's like, how could you possibly get that many speeding tickets from a football team? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like over 100 or something. I saw it in the Atlanta Constitution sometime back. But anyhow, all right. Buckeyes, Texas. What do we got? You want to go first? You want me to go first? What do you want to do?
Floor is yours, my friend. I want to know why you're predicting whoever you're going to predict as well.
Okay. Buckeyes have, in my estimation, a talent edge. Buckeyes have, in my estimation, a momentum edge in that they have been playing better football as of late, just the last couple of weeks, than Texas has. Texas on offense, they just don't have anything that terrifies me. Oregon had some things that terrified me because we saw, how poorly it went the first time. Texas doesn't have anything that terrifies me. As you said, Quinn Ewers doesn't throw the ball fantastically well down the field. He is very accurate. I do expect him to move the ball. I do expect Ohio State to give up some yards. I do expect Ohio State to give up some points. I do expect this to absolutely be a game. However, I do feel that the Buckeyes have what it takes to go in there and to get the job done. And I'm going with Ohio State 31, Texas 23.
Man, I like it, Michael. Obviously I love that you're predicting Ohio State to win. Of course, that's great. Man,
Rage, you've
yes.
got a heckler in the chat here. James W says, "Yes, Rage, you picked the Ducks." Going to address that?
I already kind of did. I was like, yeah, I owned up to it. I'm like, yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, you must have missed it. Yeah, you did.
I already addressed that. So I'm telling you what, man, I already addressed that, but I will say that when it came to the Oregon game, man, who could have ever predicted that kind of performance? I didn't predict. I mean, like, again, no one could have predicted these last 2 weeks. It is very, it was spectacular. It was spectacular. Ohio State should have won by more than they did. I can tell you that as well. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to be wrong. I've always said I'll be happy to be wrong. I'm usually more right than I am wrong. So there's that. So with this Texas game, Michael, one thing that needs to be understood here is you have to take Texas at their best. Texas is going to play their best game of the year. So what do they look like at their best? Obviously, they're a talented team. They have some receivers. Offensive line, talent-wise, is the best offensive line we'll play all year. Talent-wise, I don't know if they're really the best, but talent-wise, they are the best. I got to be honest, man. I have been really looking at them, Michael. Really, really looking at them. And I see their players, and they just don't really pass the look test.
That's what I mean. There's just something.
No,
missing.
I know, but no, what I'm saying, I'm looking at these players' physiques, no homo. And they don't look as big as our guys. Like in the arms, they don't look as big. They look like softer. Yeah, they all run and all of that stuff. But they just don't look as physically imposing as Ohio State. They are very good athletes, but I'm watching that Arizona State game, and yeah, they're fast and all of that stuff, but they're not overly physical. They're not as physical as any of these Big Ten teams.
Georgia out-physicaled them. Georgia out-physicaled them in the SEC championship game.
And I will tell you this. The way Ohio State is playing on defense right now, Georgia is not as physical as Ohio State. The only team as physical as Ohio State is Michigan, in my opinion, defensively. The only team that is as physical as Ohio State on defense is Michigan. And Texas, they have talented guys. Their receivers are small. I think we can jam them up. I think we can. Getting pressure with them with only 4 guys is going to be a lot harder. But if Georgia can do it, I think Ohio State can some too. So I'm just going to go right out and fucking say it, man. I have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this game 34 to... I'll give Texas 21. 34 to 21. We beat the spread. And then we get ready for a trip to Atlanta and go win this fucking national championship, Michael.
Yeah.
Let's get ready for this national championship. Texas is a very talented team, but they haven't seen the physicality and determination from Ohio State. As long as Ryan Day doesn't just go into a soft-ass, bitch-ass fucking shell, which I don't think he's going to. I've been listening to him. He actually just might be growing somewhat of a nutsack down there. I think he's got 2 little pebbles right now, but he actually might be growing some actual balls for once. Just his what he's saying and all of that. I just think Texas is playing at home. And I'm looking for ways for Texas to keep this closer, and I think they will keep it closer than Oregon and Tennessee. But when I look at this fucking Texas team, they don't look much better than Tennessee. Honestly, they're the same exact team, just with a little better athletes. That's what Texas is. They are Tennessee with a little bit better athleticism. But Tennessee was bigger than them on the defensive line and at wide receiver and at quarterback. Just saying. It's not like Ohio State hasn't seen size before. So I have Ohio State winning decisively. It's not going to be a total blowout. Texas is going to throw everything in the house at Ohio State. I do believe Oregon was a better team than Texas. I just don't think – I think Ohio State playing a legitimate road game, 70 to 75% in that stadium are going to be cheering on Texas. It's going to be hard to deal with. But I think, again, Georgia did it. Ohio State's a better team than Georgia in the middle of the season right now. Who's to say, why can't we do it, man? Why can't we beat them too?
Yeah, I'm with you. And the chat seems to be, we seem to kind of all be in alignment. Slip and Skippy going with 34-21 Buckeyes. Joe J going with 38-24 Buckeyes. Dr. Detroit says Bucks by 10. Michigan fan giving us the nod there. Yeah, looks like the chat's going with the Bucks. Looks like we're going with the Bucks. Now it's time for Ryan Day and the squad to get out there, do it, and beat those Longhorns. Eliminate
Texas, man. Fuck them. Only steers and queers come from Texas, man. Just like the Gunny said in fucking Full Metal Jacket. Only steers and queers come from that shitty state. Yeah. Who the fuck would want to live in Texas, man? Like, seriously, it's too hot down there. Like, Dallas is super, super populated. I heard Houston fucking sucks. Houston has a lot to do there, but it fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the whole Texas craze. For me, like, you can have Texas, you can have everything down there. I mean, that's great. It's a cool state, a lot to, awesome state. I'm not knocking it, but I don't get the whole Texas craze of we've all got to move to Texas. I'm with you on that. Joe J, when was the last time Ohio State played in a bubble or a dome? Good question. 2022 Georgia? Is that the last time? No, 2023.
Are we talking about like indoor stadium or like
yeah.
what
Well,
are we talking about here?
When's the last time they played inside in a dome? It was Missouri game.
Yeah, last year in the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, against Missouri.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and there's another storyline right there. Redeem our fucking failure from last year against Missouri. By the way, Ohio State should have been getting to Dallas like within like the last hour or so. I checked Texas's social media page earlier today. They got to Dallas before Ohio State did. I think I'm looking at this now. I haven't seen anything indicating that Ohio State has made it to Dallas yet, but I don't know. Okay. My wife just hit me up and said I have to feed my son at like 1:30, so I'll have to make sure I stay up later. Not now, but later.
Oh, not now. Okay, later.
Not now.
Well, I think for now, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Jay, let's see, Friday.
Man, this has been a lot of fun these last couple of weeks, Michael. I do not want this season to end.
Do you have any interest? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want this season to end, man. I don't want this. Do you know that this game is a semifinal game and today is Michigan's 1-year anniversary of winning the title? That means like the game on Friday, obviously it's the second to last football game played in college this year, but it's also as a semifinal game later than the national championship was the last 2 years, which is just fucking crazy, man. Isn't that just fucking crazy how late the season goes? But again, we only have 3 games left in this season, man. We have 3 games left in this college football season. It's been a really fun time, but it's really sad. I say this every episode, man. It's really sad how fast time has gone on this year.
Yep. It's coming down to it. And what I was going to ask you, do you have any availability? I'm asking you this on the spot. So maybe we'll talk about it after. Do you have any availability? Do you have any interest? Do you have any possibility in doing like a brief 25, 30-minute immediate reaction to the game after the game Friday? Or are you going to be off going somewhere?
Depends on how intoxicated I am.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're very drunk, I won't be, so I can help you. I can help you through that. But
hit me up, man. I'm all for like a fun, crazy time, man. I don't know. Again, I might be crying my eyes out. I might be in tears of joy, tears of, I don't know what I'll be like. We could maybe do an immediate reaction if, I don't know. Yeah, for sure. I guess you would need to post it in here. Everyone, would you want just a quick immediate reaction followed by a full-on breakdown on Sunday?
If we do it, we will put it in the community notes. So check those community notes. We'll let you know if we're going to be coming out with Shane Cup says yes. So there we go. Yes, we got one. So we will Jason Blevins thumbs up. Okay, yeah, I think we do. So we will confirm that in the community notes or whatever they're called, community post or whatever. Just check those. Hopefully you guys see those when we put them out. But anyhow, we'll be back for a immediate. It looks like we'll keep you updated. Probably.
Man, nobody's saying no. Nobody's saying no. They want me in my full-on fucking like rage-infested, like just uncontrollable, violent rage. In case I don't know, it could get really bad on Friday. I'm just telling you, I'm already like on the edge of my seat, dude. I'm already ready for tomorrow in Penn State, Notre Dame, man. It's going to be like a celebration watching that fucking game.
Is that tomorrow?
So much fun. That's tomorrow, man. That is tomorrow. That is tomorrow. And then our game's Friday, which is kind of unfair that the Penn State Notre Dame winner has an extra day of preparation for Ohio State and Texas. That's really kind of fucked up. The semifinals used to all be played on the same day. Not now.
Well, yeah, that is kind of odd. Okay, cool. Well, guys, appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go Bucks. OH.
I fucking O.
There we go.
Fuck Texas.
I got one of those in New Orleans, and all of New Orleans. I saw one Buckeye fan after the game, and I gave him an OH. And he gave me back an IO. And all the Georgia fans looked at us. But
Fuck Georgia too. Fuck them.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating Friday post game.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know if I can take it. This is
tell.
it. Again, I just want to let everyone know this is it. I feel really good about the next game for either team. Either team.
Yeah.
Whoever comes out of this game, I feel good about them.
Yeah, Dr. Detroit says Notre Dame lost today playing against Penn State. Yeah, they did. They lost today against them, but that doesn't help us when they
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Stay on the other side. So, all right, guys, we're out. Appreciate it.
See ya.